Thank you so much, Pyrotechnics. Semi-finalist indeed, as we are joined by 3 members of H2K, the coach Prali, Oduwamne, and Kasing. Well, first up, congratulations. Kasing, just tell me your first reactions after closing out that 3-0 very decisively, I should say, and locking in your spot to the semis.
I feel excited, of course.
It shows, dude.
Yeah. You're always excited.
I'm quite nervous being here, but I didn't expect it to go 3-0, actually. I thought it would be much closer. But I think our game plan was really solid. Like in our first game, even we had a good idea of what we wanted to do, how to pressure each objective, and just we went into it with a really a confident phase. And yeah.
At any point in the first game, were you afraid of that Juggermore comp? It felt like Copenhagen Wolves. It's such a fantastic team composition, but you guys had good objective control. So what was the discussion like in the team?
Well, with Juggermore, it's like even though they had a strong mid-late game, if anything, our team comp was also really strong early, and we had more pressure on the lanes, so therefore Juggermore, they couldn't snowball their advantage that much as they wanted to. And then after we just took objective over objective, and then we ended up out-pressuring them, then it went fine.
Prali, can I ask, if you were watching the game, it looked like a near-flawless win for H2K Game 1. As the coach, what was your thoughts and feelings watching them play that match?
I was just trying to find, if we were doing, what's a way to put it? If there's, a common flaw throughout that game, because it was a really, really good game by them. But so I was, looking really hard to try to find, is there something that we're doing slightly off and it's, repeating itself? So after Game 1, I kind of, brought up a couple points, and honestly, they fixed it completely Game 2. Kind of had a rough laning phase, but they had fixed all the problems I talked about in Game 1, so I was really happy that they kind of, listened and they were able to put it into action the next game.
Glad you mentioned it, because that Game 2 was the most interesting one for us to watch as well, and probably for you guys to look back to going into the semifinals versus Fnatic later on. Just tell me generally, because the pick and ban phase, you guys adapted well, as you say, and then they get those picks early, the Hecarim, the Kalista, and they really get going, and it's the first time in 14 games that you guys are down by 20 minutes. How did that influence kind of the communication in the team and how to go forward, Oduwamne?
Well, it wasn't that hard because we were all calm, because we knew that our comp had similar strengths with theirs, so we scaled just as good as them. So yeah, we fell behind in the early game. We had our off-laning phase, but then we just salvaged really good. We traded vision, we traded objectives whenever they would get something. So we just stalled until we got our power spikes, because in the second game, Kog'Maw got really behind. So we had to stall as much as possible to allow him to farm. So we just give up top lane farm, bot lane farm, mid lane farm, everything. So Kog'Maw could get back in the game and be relevant, because their Kalista was pretty fed and the team fights were going pretty bad. So we just waited for that time, and then we were confident to start forcing stuff around the map.
So it sounds like you had a game plan. No nonsense now. Did H2K win Game 2, or did Copenhagen Wolves lose Game 2, and why?
I think we won the second game because we just knew what to do at all the times. Yeah, they did slight mistakes. They got flanked quite some times, but we just played it really good.
Kasing, same question.
They lost?
But what makes you say that? What makes you say? Because you got to admit, you guys were so far behind. We were sitting going, we've got a series on, and then all of a sudden you claw back out. What was it that makes you think that?
Well, basically, from my perspective, I felt like they baited Nash way too much when they could have easily just gone top with the inhib tower down. And I thought they were initially going to do that when Rek'Sai went there by himself and then died after. But it just looked completely weird, because no one really can solo an inhib as Rek'Sai, just by itself. And I felt like they kind of threw because of the fact that they didn't really force anything after, apart from baying vision and stuff. So if they just sieged as 5, then they probably would have won the game.
Yeah, I kind of share the same opinion. I have to ask you about your Lulu play in that particular match, because you seem to hit everything. You always save the right person. How much pressure did you feel personally about your performance and being down and having so much weight on your shoulders in that comp?
I just learned from Enrated. He's an amazing Lulu player.
There, I'm sure he's watching and listening to that. But probably you can have your players say that they ended up winning the game. But you, as a coach watching that, did you get bigger concerns? Because it was a good span of 20, 25 minutes that it looked like you were going to lose. It very uncharacteristic, and maybe something we hadn't seen from H2K before.
I didn't really worry that much, because after 30 minutes in the game, they were behind for basically 30 minutes, and they were still making the right plays and kind of keeping in the game. So all in all, even if we lost that game, I'd still be happy with it because I knew that they had shown enough mental fortitude to win game 3 and 4. So as game 2 was ending, I was like, this doesn't really matter. Like, I'm actually seeing my team play really well, like, in a bad situation. So I was like, I'll just wait for this game to be over. And then they turned it around, and I was like, good job.
I feel like you could have celebrated a little more.
Good job.
Odo Amne, you played Maokai in all 3 of your games. You're currently 8-0 on Maokai this year. Let's be frank, your NAR last week was not good. And it feels like this patch should favor you. What's your take on this? Maokai struggling on the NAR, if you feel you are struggling, and talking about the top lane role in the current meta.
Well, the top lane meta right now is pretty good for me. I can't really say that Gnar is bad for me right now. It's just that those games were just really bad of examples of how to play the game because we got behind with a Gnar in our comp, but the Gnar pick didn't influence the fact that we got behind. So it wasn't the Gnar pick that got us behind in those games. So I feel that Gnar is still pretty good in the meta. And
That's not what Reddit says. And that's the only reason we won. They said if we don't pick Gnar, we can win playoffs. So we're listening to the real coaches, the Reddit coaches.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MVP
Should
Reddit.
always do.
MVP
Yeah.
Reddit, yeah.
And yeah, the tanks are really good right now, and I enjoy playing tanks because they have so much CC, so much presence in team fights, and they just allow me to do what I want in team fights, and I don't have to worry about my team not following me up or anything because I can just survive how much I want.
Yeah. But then the scenario, you're going up against Fnatic with a Huni, who is a very good Hecarim player. And today, in the laning phase, it didn't go ideal versus Youngbuck in Game 2. I think that's an understatement. So if you go that same pick and you end up in a lane, isn't that really a big problem for you guys going into a game like that?
Well, it won't be a problem because in Game 2 I just made a slight mistake and I got punished for it, but in Game 3 I just laned even, and even though I lane against the Hecarim that gets camp or gets the lead or whatever, I'm still going to be relevant, I'm still going to farm even, so they can't really shut me down if I play Maokai against Hecarim.
Yeah, and the level of your TPs after that also influenced the game very heavily, so really nothing against that. Game 3, a couple of things I want to touch on. Why did you guys move away from the Jinx and the Kog'Maw pick going for the Sivir? I actually thought that was something that would come in from Game 1 starting. Yamato had something to say about the Jinx pick in your composition in Game 1 as well. Why move away from it?
I think... Why did we?
The Vi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had Vi. So Sivir is, like, pretty annoying for Vi. So I was like, well, this will annoy Vi. And it's also a big favorite for Hjarnan. Like, he likes playing the champion. So it's like, it's our last game, hopefully. So let's put us on some comfort champions and then put us on some engaged champions so we can play the game like we want, we can fight when we want, and then, just play lanes like we like it.
Did Probably miss anything, Kasing?
Nope.
Just checking, because you
you
felt like
better
going to
say no.
chime in there.
He won us the game. Don't forget that.
Yeah, probably carried.
Some other things I wanted to talk about. We always talk about H2K as being such a team play-oriented team, no individual stars. Kasing has really stepped up to the plate, and for me in this series as well, Ryu, maybe even playing the best games he has in the entire split. And I wanted to ask you specifically, because in the beginning of the split, you said, well, sometimes he doesn't really listen when it comes to picks, or he's kind of going his own way. It seems like that dynamic has changed, and we see him talking all the time in Champion Select. Do you see that growth of him as well?
Yeah, he just basically just got more comfortable with everyone. Like, we all became friends like pretty quickly, and then the language barrier kind of like broke when all we do is talk about League, so it's really easy to talk. So basically he just got comfortable with everyone, so it was really easy for him to voice his opinion and for us to understand it, and then us to come to an agreement. Because before it was like, well, we think this way, and he'd just say, bad. So that was like our communication for a while, and then he's able to explain it now, so pick and ban's a lot easier, like mid lane's a lot easier, and then, like, I don't know, when Odo does his yellow TPs, we follow up on it a lot better now.
It feels like the team's in a great position. Kasing, I want to quote you from an interview a few weeks back where you said when you joined H2K, you kind of thought you were going to be in the bottom 5 of the table. Now you guys are in the semi-finals, you're top 4, guaranteed. Whenever anybody talks about H2K, there's never any talk about individual superstars, yet you guys are top 4. How does it make you feel? How does it make you think when you hear and see those things, yet you guys are in the semi-finals, convincingly?
It's just, before I came into the team, I thought everyone disliked me as a player. Like, everyone's had their fair
And
share.
a person. No, just kidding.
Everyone's had their fair share of, like, solo queue experience in the US. So I thought they didn't really respect me as a player. But when I came in, like, everyone listens really, like, like everyone just listened instantly, so I didn't have any troubles trying to put across my points and stuff. And me and Hyanan, like since the beginning, we played like 3 days before playing the first game, and he was really easy to work with. So
Well, if you make those big plays and those hooks, I don't think anyone can disagree with you or not be comfortable with you in that one. Some more things about you guys' play style. Probably we've had talked to Yamato all day here on the desk, saying how the way you guys play is maybe the most durable of all the teams in the LCS. I want to see your vision on that, and maybe how do you see it in terms of growth? Because it seems like all the things you're good at is something that should last you for the ages.
Yeah, I think people are starting to pigeonhole our team a bit into like all we're going to do is Dragon. And I think for the week like 4 to 8, that was literally our only play style. We kind of never really adapted and learned how to like press leads in small areas or like skirmish in the jungle. But I think game 3 was a good example of what we've been practicing, where we actually created a lot of chaos on the map and got a lot of fights, like not around objectives. They're just fights because we saw them overextending and we punished that. So I think if teams are going to look at us like, oh, they're just going to stall until Drake, it's actually going to backfire really hard, because we're getting a lot better at punishing people who overextend, or if people are trying to bow flex the pressure they can't actually hold.
Right. Well, the series was very impressive from you guys in total. We also decided on an MVP for this one. I want to ask, who do you guys think would deserve the MVP, Oduwamne?
Probably.
Probably.
Nah, jokes aside.
Probably. Who would win MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. MVP.
Yourself.
I don't know. I guess I would say Ryu, because he doesn't always do those like gank bushes, or he'll do it and then like give up and scrims. But today when I watched him camp in that red bush for like 2 minutes straight when they had Baron, I was like, yeah, you camp in that bush, baby. You sit there forever. And he eventually got a kill off of it, and we actually took a whole bunch of pressure. So that kind of play that I never talk about. I'm never like, hey guys, go in this bush. So that was something he literally just created by himself and felt was right for the game. So I was just really happy he did that.
Deficio actually agreed with Prolly. He has said that he felt Ryu was the best. We didn't necessarily agree with yourself and Deficio. Myself and Yamato were talking about this quite extensively. We actually felt the MVP of the series was in fact Kasing. Felt like your Thresh from game 1 was game-changing. You saved so many people's lives. Lulu in game 2 felt like you were in the right place at the right time. We'll admit Ryu was better in game 3, let's be frank. But
I'll admit.
overall, over the entire series, I definitely think it was you. What's your take when you hear we're sitting here talking about your performance and really
All the
feeling you
time.
stepped up?
I don't know what to say. I don't know. It's just, I mean, I just played the champion. That's all. But I don't know. Like, I don't think I deserve MVP because I think Ryu played really well.
Well, from our scrims this last week, it was actually a point I brought up, because when we played like Thresh with a mobile AD carry, we had Kasing kind of more on the front lines throwing hooks and stuff. And we were like, do you think it'd be better if you played more like Lantern Baby right there? And he's like, yeah, I should have done that there. So, and then these games, he played it completely perfect. And it was like, awesome. Like, you could actually just say this is the right way to play it and do it, instead of, a lot of people are like, we shouldn't do Baron here, but they just can't, take it off their mind.
I got a question for Oduwamne to follow this one up. We've talked about Ryu, we've talked about Kasing. You're one of the H2K members that's been around since before these two guys jumped on board, before Prolly joined. What's it been like in the team, considering H2K failed to make LCS 3 consecutive times? Made it in because of an expansion tournament, lost your mid laner, had to replace your support, and now you're top 4? Like, dude, what's the last 6 months been like for you, personally?
Well, the last 6 months were great since we got into LCS, and we started playing bad at first. We lost a couple of games and our playstyle was just bad overall. But then we bought in Kasing and the dynamic changed. We were all responsive to each other. We just talked a lot about everything and people were just open to each other. So it's been great. It's like so far we're doing so good.
Yeah, you're doing fantastic, and a lot of LCS big plays coming out of your series, and you had one in particular you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I absolutely love the team fight that, in my opinion, got you guys back in game 2. I want you guys to watch it and listen to the shoutcasters, because obviously you've not had the chance to review the games yet. So let's pull this clip up and take a look at what was, my opinion, the best team fight of the day, and then hear the guys chiming in on their own big play.
But there's a teleport coming in for Oduwamne. Youngbuck exhausted as he moves forward. Airwalks could be caught up. Unlimited and Freeze trying damage control on Ryu. The Timbers is dropped, the barrel is thrown, and Unlimited, he's getting chunked incredibly low. Can't get involved. Lulex moving forward, he's gonna go down. Freeze picks him up, but Freeze falls to Ryu. It's a double kill now as Yarden is able to come up with 2 more.
Let's start. Big smiles from Prolly. Watching your boys, listening to the commentary. What's it like reliving the team fight that really started things back in your favor?
I was just really happy they didn't I don't know, tunnel vision, I guess is the easiest way to put it, because yeah, they really dedicated hard to the right side and actually left Freeze and Ari open for a second. But then right when they realized oh, the right side's gonna die, Gragas and Maokai both moved to the left side and just zone their tanks, and then it's oh yeah, really good positioning, guys. Don't tunnel vision on getting that KDA, just win the fight.
Oduwamne, watching your own play, do you listen to the commentary and get excited, or do you go, should have done this, should have been there? What's going through your mind?
I'm pretty excited since that team fight was pretty much a perfect team fight for us. We peeled back when we needed to, we engaged back when we needed to, and we just did a good job of setting our priorities in that fight and finding the right targets to proceed through it. So I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, Raymond, finally.
No, good job, guys.
Is that what you're saying, game 2? Actually, the fact that you're so humble make me think you deserve the MVP award even more. Fantastic play overall. Yeah.
It's all an act.
Yeah. Also, by the way, guys, remember to send in your own big plays throughout the entire playoffs. Tweet at LOL Esports. Use that hashtag LCS, and we'll revise them and see if you're right, because sometimes you send in not so good plays. Something else I want to touch on is earlier in the week we saw on PTL, Prolly, you were crowned the coach of the split. There was something missing, though. You didn't actually get an award, and we got to rectify that.
Yes, we really felt it needed to be resolved. So I would like to bring up the Coach of the Split award, which has been awarded to Prolly. As soon as I figure out where I'm looking, there we go. And I would like to say that I did vote for you. I felt you were the #1 coach in the spring split. Do not drop that, or I will get in trouble. Let's put that on the desk when you're safe.
You want to hold it?
What I'd like to know is, to Kasing and to Oduwamne, what has Prolly done over the entire split that has helped you guys as players?
Everything.
Come on, give me more, dude. Give me more.
Everything but more. I don't know, it's just probably, it's you have him for pick ban, as a usual coach would do. But then he also gives really good insight out of the game. Not just on, you pick this because this, not just the basic reasoning. But he also goes into in depth of why we should pick this, and he also likes to accommodate what we like to play as well. He wouldn't just force on champions that the Koreans are playing or Chinese teams are playing. And I really like this about Prolly.
What about on the mental aspect? If you have a series like this, if you have a game 2 that isn't going so well, is he the kind of guy you can listen to and will just come and cheer you guys up? Because you guys seem pretty cheery as is. Oduwamne.
Well, yeah, he does a really good job of calming us down and assuring us that everything's okay and we're still the better team and we can just get into a new game with a fresh mind. So yeah, he's doing a really good job as a mental coach as well.
Well, we'll have to do that in the next week as you guys gear up for the semi-final. And with one quarterfinal match behind us, let's pull up the bracket and see what is in store for you guys. To start with, as you guys advance to the semi-finals, you're going to be playing Fnatic. Then you will earn at least 30 championship points towards Worlds qualification. The Copenhagen Wolves will only earn 10. Of course, tomorrow we'll have Gambit Gaming versus the Unicorns of Love to play SK Gaming later on. I'd like to touch on that championship point system, as that is new in this one, as we see the games that will be going on tomorrow and in NA as well. Probably, has your mindset changed in the split? First, of course, you're a challenger team that comes in, you just want to do good. Now that you know that those champions points are there, you've banked in those first ones, does the mindset change? Are you looking towards Worlds already?
I don't think really anything's changed, other than I've kind of decided that I need to work a lot harder. I know in the beginning of the split, in the last 2 weeks, I had a hard time figuring out kind of my coaching style, I guess. So once we started winning a lot, I kind of got complacent, I guess, on what I did. And normally that's compared to a player getting complacent, oh, they did well, so they fall off. I felt like I kind of did that in the last 2 weeks. So after, figuring out how to coach a bit and then seeing myself fall off again, I think I'm ready to work a lot harder and, fix all the problems I can.
Oduwamne, top 4 spring split, championship points, locking them in the bag. Are you looking at Worlds, and how much room does H2K still have to grow?
Well, I'm not looking at Worlds yet. We still have the playoffs right now and the next split to play. And we just look to improve at the moment. And if we get to Worlds, then yeah, fine, we go to Worlds. But at the moment, we don't really. I personally don't care if we go to Worlds or not. But we just want to get better and better.
Don't care if you go to Worlds or not, Raymond.
No, I want to personally go Worlds once, and then after I'm done with the game.
Once, win it, and then it's over.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have played your quarterfinal here today. Tomorrow, Gambit Gaming versus Unicorns of Love. We're going to take a sneak preview at tomorrow's matchup and hear from Leviathan, who says that he's got the Unicorns of Love all figured out.
One of the things about Unicorns Love is that they have limited win conditions. Going over all of their replays, it seems like they win their games in primarily the same way. So going into the match, we just have to make sure that we keep our strategies strong to their win conditions. One of the biggest things we need to be ready for is be able to adapt and quickly read team compositions on the fly. So one of the things we'll probably look at is finding, just taking a look at all the weird champions they could possibly pull out, and then just having discussions as a team like, okay, if they pick this champion is strong in this area, and so it promotes them playing in a specific direction.
Yeah, Leviathan actually hits the nail on the head there, and good, because he is the coach, saying that we'll really have to look at what we want to pick and what we don't want them to pick. And previewing this game with Yamato Cannon, he also said, if I was Gambit, I would be terrified going into a best-of-5 versus Unicorns of Love. Probably what are your thoughts specifically in picks and bans versus a team like the Unicorns?
I mean, I know it's kind of cliche, but I feel like for Gambit, they should just be picking what they want and let Unicorns of Love, like, do whatever cheesy picks they want. Because right now, I think Gambit's actually in a really good spot. Like, they're actually our primary scrim partners, so they get a little shout out for helping us win today because they gave us really good practice. So I think whatever Gambit does, pick and ban, it's not really going to matter as long as they play the way they've been in scrims.
Odawamne, shout out to Gambit for helping you win today. Will Gambit be giving you guys a shout out for helping them win tomorrow?
Well, if they win, then I hope so. If they don't win, then I want them to not say anything because.
One more thing from you, Odawamne. Something that we'll be looking at very closely tomorrow is Vizicachi versus Cabo Shard. For us in the top of all the top laners here in the league, how do you think that how they match up versus each other?
I think Cabo Shard is gonna have the edge at that lane. He's just more punishing for mistakes, and he's just more solid overall.
In general, I kind of hear that you guys think that Gambit is going to take it. Raymond, do you echo that sentiment?
I think Gambit will take it, but it will be a close series. I think it will be like 3-1, 3-2. But I mean, I want both of them to win, unluckily, but yeah.
Unlucky, but you got the MVP and you're in the semifinal, so I guess it's not that bad after all. That best of 5 Gambit versus Unicorns of Love, it all begins tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central European Summer Time or 8 a.m. Pacific. And that'll do it from all of us here. Thank you guys very much for joining us. And congratulations once again. For you guys, though, at home, don't go anywhere because the North American LCS Spring Playoffs start in just a few minutes.